Alrighty, well, good morning. So, this morning I wanted to talk about the importance of an emergency fund. And of course, in the middle of, the whole crisis going on and everything, it would have been nice to have said emergency funds set ahead of time. But what are you going to do? You got to start off from wherever you are in your life. Hey, kitty. So, with the emergency fund, why should you get one? So what it does is it allows you to have protection against the unknown. Whatever comes up, you have that peace of mind that for a certain amount of time, you'll be able to take care of yourself and your family and your business, whatever that may be. You can float that, you can move it for a certain amount of time, however much money you have saved up. Ideally, you would have it from 3 to 6 months all the way up to a year, and then to whatever you feel comfortable with doing. But just the level of stress reduction that comes just from having that emergency fund. And I understand that funds can be tight. It can be difficult to save money or to conceive that it would be possible when, look, I'm already spending all the money I have every single month. How could I possibly save money? But I would still highly recommend you try and put as much aside per month as you can without stressing yourself out. So for me, when I started building my emergency fund, I put $100 aside every single month, and I did that for 6 months. And you end up with $600, like, duh. But when you first start out saving money, it doesn't seem like much, and then it grows to slightly more, but it's still not much. But as you build it and set aside that money over time, it it sort of becomes part of who you are. You begin to enjoy the process of saving money because as you set aside that money not to spend to pay yourself first, you begin to realize the peace of mind that that money brings you. So if whatever problems are pending in your life, or if you're worried about having to pay an unknown medical bill or whatever it is, that emergency fund gives you that certain amount of peace. And when you are in a higher level of peace, when we were able to think in a more calm and peaceful way, you make better decisions. You see, if you're working in a job you hate and you have an emergency fund that can cover you for 3 months, 6 months, or a year, then you can just quit that job and you can go looking for a new job, or you can find a new job and then start working there and then switch over. But if the or another example, a better example would be if you were to lose your job, these things happen. Yeah. Then at least you know that you have a period of time that you can support your family. So what your emergency fund should cover, and it varies from person to person depending on how much money you spend every single month, what are your basic necessities to get by, and what are all the bills that you would have to pay. For example, do you have debts? Do you have renters? What are your... You'd probably end up cutting your monthly subscriptions. But if if you absolutely need those things, then you have to put that into the budget that you set aside for the amount of money you need every single month to support yourself for that 3 to 6 months or however long you'll need to get back on your feet after a period of adversity, whether it be, your car battery burning out or someone getting sick or whatever it is. So setting aside money for an emergency fund, any amount of money you're comfortable with, and then building up to that first $1,000 is just a crazy milestone. Like I remember when I got to that like $1,000, and it was just like, wow, like now I have enough money to survive for a month or 2 months if everything goes bad, and then continuing to build that up to 3 to 6 months to a year, knowing that if everything goes bad, if my business goes broke, whatever, I can support myself for a period of time. I don't need a job, and I can have peace of mind knowing I can afford to pay for everything in my life should everything go wrong. And that just brings a much calmer frame of mind. It makes it much easier to think rationally about money decisions. So if the car does break down, the battery goes out, you're not putting that on a credit card. You're not having to go into debt to pay off your bills, because going into debt just digs your future self into more debt, and then it's just a never-ending cycle of debt stacking on itself through compounding interest, and then the debt just continues to grow over time if you're not able to pay it off. And then the final part about having an emergency fund is, once you have that foundation of an emergency fund and you're able to think clearly about money and make decisions that aren't involving stress and having to work because you need the money, then you can begin to choose things that are in your best interest and work towards building resources that make you money, or finding that job that brings you the actual self-enjoyment and that brings you a sense of self-respect. Anyway, long tangent. This is not financial, medical, or Aloha Spirit advice. Please seek an actual professional before using any of this information. Remember to dislike and unsub. And thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.